wanted to start by reading a verse that spoke to me recently. I have the King James Version to hand, and it's Proverbs chapter 13, verse 4. It says, "The soul of the sluggard desireth and hath nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat." So, as we can see there, desire we can also class as motivation. Desire, motivation, it's not enough. It's a feeling. You feel riled up. Oh, I heard a sermon. I heard a motivational speech. I watched a video. I had a great conversation. And now I have the desire. I have the motivation. But it says here, the diligent shall be made fat. So the diligent has a system in place. So this is one of the differences between the sluggard and the diligent, as we can see so far. There's a desire, but there's also someone who takes action. And that's what we're going to look at today. Do we want to be a person who just desires all the time, or do we want to see results in our life? So our first point is, let's look at three things that separate the sluggard from the diligent person. So, number one, the sluggard has no awareness of time, and the diligent person knows how to prioritize their time. So, the sluggard is always late. They always mismanage their time. They never really understand that, okay, I have somewhat of an idea that this activity or this task may take 2 hours. They either always overestimate the time or they underestimate the time that they will need. They just have no grasp, no concept, always waking up late or waking up at different times. And we're all guilty. We've all been there, even with the girls. Sometimes I've had to say, oh, girls, we've been a bit here and there with bedtime. Let's aim to get up at 6. And we always see the difference when we get up at 6, or I'd say even between 6 and 7 a.m. You always see a difference because you get so much more done in the day. So the sluggard has no awareness of time. They just, every day happens. They don't really know what they're doing. There's no schedule. But a diligent person says, this is my plan for the day. The diligent person says, well, if I'm going to clean the car today, maybe I can't clean the car and cook a new recipe and do my hair and do the children's hair and clean and declutter and organize that big cupboard. The diligent person has that awareness, and they will make sure they put things in place and prepare from the night before so that the next day can flow. The second point is, the sluggard waits to feel ready, but the diligent person moves even when it's uncomfortable, because obedience comes before feelings. Did you catch that? So the sluggard waits to feel ready. So you see, it goes back to that verse that the sluggard desireth. Oh, I just need to wait on the feeling, the feeling. And especially as a female, feelings can chop and change. You can have different feelings in the course of one day. So if you wait until you get the feeling, then you'll never do anything. You know, I've mentioned before that even for me, I don't always feel like recording, even though I enjoy creating content. I enjoy creating the reels and the posts and the videos, and I don't always feel like doing it. But that part of me that says, do you know what, I have a goal in mind, that is what helps me to push past that. I don't really feel like it. And because I'll bulk record or bulk or do things in batches, that is a system that helps me to know, okay, I've done a certain amount today, and then I can spread it out and post it. Does that make sense? So that's a system. So again, the diligent person moves even when it's uncomfortable, because obedience comes before feelings. And that's the reality. Many of you will know, on this faith walk, on this journey, as you draw close and you follow our Messiah, Yahusha, he pushed past his feelings. When he was in Gethsemane crying out to his father, he was sweating blood, even, it says. So at the end of the day, we need to recognize, and sorry, before I move on from that, remember he ended up saying, not my will, but yours. So he submitted to the Father in spite of the agony he was feeling, in spite of the fact that he recognized, I'm about to go on a cross and they're going to impale me and all this brutality. I'm still going to do what I need to do. So the diligent person has a goal in mind, and they're like, no matter what, I'm sticking it out, because I recognize that my feelings will chop and change. And if I base my whole life based on my feelings, it will always be haphazard. the perfect feelings, that perfect course of feelings never really happens, because even in a day, you could be feeling good and then something happens, and if you're not in control of your feelings, you get triggered. Now you're in a bad mood. But guess what? I still have things to do. Number 3, the sluggard looks for short cuts, while the diligent person builds habits that last, brick by brick, with Yahuwah at the center. So do you hear that? The sluggard is always looking for the easy way out. What's the quickest way I can do this? Oh, I need a quick fix. I need a quick fix. Oh, help me. And I'm not even going to lie. Even lately, I was saying to my husband, I'm praying because I'm like, oh, do I still want to do this YouTube thing? I don't know. I just want a nice little viral moment. I just want a nice quick thing. And, no hate on anybody, because at the end of the day, there are people who have put in loads of work and then they have a viral moment. There are people who never get that viral moment. But in my head, I'm just like, if I just get that, then this and this and that will happen. But then the joke is, then I see other people's experience where they have that viral moment, and then and sometimes they can kind of get stuck chasing that virality, if you can say that. They get stuck feeling like, I need that moment again, I need that hit, and everything else feels like a failure, even though these times they're doing well, but because maybe they haven't hit that specific number. And this is another thing with the feelings, with social media. Sometimes you may get 50 likes, sometimes you get 10 likes. Someone will get 50,000 or 500,000 likes, and then the next post they put gets 20,000 likes, and they feel like a failure. Whereas for someone like me, I'm like, okay, now we're saying something, things are moving, things are grooving. So do you see, there has to be a system in place, there has to be a goal, an idea that you have, right? That okay, this is the plan, this is how I'm going to go about things. I need to tweak things here, I need to tweak things there. There's nothing wrong with change. We all change, that's life. But at the end of the day, you have to not take shortcuts. If you're always looking for shortcuts, you don't get to build the character that Yah wants you to build, because you're always looking for the easy way out. And you can read the Bible, there's not a lot of shortcuts in there. Even the other day, I was saying to my husband that, some of the things that Yah asks people to do, even we had a read of Hosea the other day, and telling a man, like, specifically, take on a woman of whoredom, take on a whore. That's not an easy road. But if Yah is asking you to do something, he knows the character that he wants to build in you. So just remember, brick by brick, because as we can see, even when it comes to building houses, I mentioned brick by brick there. Some of these houses nowadays, they look beautiful, they look wonderful, but they weren't built properly. They don't have a solid foundation. They're just built very quickly, and they look pretty, but after a while, people may say, oh, they have this issue, they have that issue. I can't remember where it was in London, I'm sure it was, but there was a flat. And even one time, I think it was in Florida, they were these pretty flats, and it just crashed one day. Sadly, I can't remember if anybody died, but it's because it had the looks, it looked aesthetically pleasing, but it wasn't built properly. So that's the thing. Things that take time, and I'm speaking to myself here with this video. Okay, Father. Things that take time are built properly, and everybody's journey is different. So don't be like the sluggard, always looking for the easy way out. Be the diligent person who says, what is my Father trying to teach me in this moment? How am I becoming more solid in this moment? Because as I said, I'm naturally a very sensitive person. Over the years, I've hardened a little, because yes, life hardens you. But the reality is, the more popular you are, the more well known you are, is the more that you get positivity, yes, but it's also the more that you get criticism. And if you're not ready to handle that, then that's why people start crashing out and they're cussing out people online. We've seen all of these things. Or they're taking it on board and making what Bunny 123 said to them. Now you're thinking about it at night. Bunny 123 said this, and now it's impacting my whole day. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So let's be like the diligent, let's stay focused. So our verse of encouragement. Oh, where is it? Oh, shame. That was a verse of encouragement as well. All right, let me read it again. So the verse of encouragement, sorry about that, is, I'm looking at the thing like, huh? And I'm going to read that again. So that's the verse of encouragement. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 4. The soul of the sluggard desireth and hath nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. So, ladies, remember, if you are diligent, you will see prosperity, not just financially, but in different areas of your life. I am at home with the girls. If I took the easy route, it would impact how I raise them. You know, I have to be diligent, even though sometimes I get frustrated and I feel like, do you know what? I'm having to tell them the same thing again. I told you this 5 times today already, or 5 times this week, but I have to stay on it, because the more that I stay focused and I keep on trying to drive certain habits and routines and systems into their hearts, into their minds, then they will naturally start to do it after a while. But if I just say, oh, I showed you once how to, clean up that area, I showed you once, all right, how to brush your teeth or whatever, then, don't be surprised when they're 15, 18, and you think, how come you're this age and you still can't do things properly? Because you wanted to take the easy route, and we have to push past those feelings and say, oh, I'm tired, I'm fed up, but let's still continue and do this together. Because even now, as adults, our Father is still working with us. He's still working with our character. Yeah. So, ladies, you deserve to feel calm, centered, and confident again. Join the Harmony Framework and let's bring peace back to your home and to your heart. The link is in the bio. Bye.